In St. Albans, Queens, Pat Dolan for the Independent News.
A July 4th celebration has turned violent in the Philippines. There, the people mark July 4th as Philippine-American Friendship Day. But overnight, rallies turned into riots between government troops and anti-government protesters. We get this report.
American influence on the Philippines and U.S. military bases there were the targets of the protests. Under watchful police eyes, some 5,000 demonstrators lampooned America's most popular president for decades along the seafront outside the U.S. Embassy. Then the trouble began. Riot police rushed in suddenly after a loud explosion in a nearby plaza. As the crowd scrambled in all directions, police lobbed tear gas and fired shots into the air. The severity of the police response came as a surprise on what's officially known as Filipino-American Friendship Day. 17 civilians were reported injured in the violence. The police said later at least 9 of their men were injured by shrapnel from pillbox bombs made from gunpowder and small nails. While some soothed their burning eyes in back streets, 3,000 demonstrators regrouped a few blocks from the now heavily guarded U.S. Embassy.
American embassies and military bases around the Philippines have now been put on security alert. They've been on that alert all week as anti-U.S. protests increase. No unusual trouble, however, was reported. And in Johannesburg, white South Africans celebrated the 100th birthday of their city in a nation under a growing state of siege. Heavy security was even tighter today following the latest in a series of terror bombings. The outlawed Black African National Congress is suspected in the blast. All this in an apparent protest against the month-old state of emergency there. Despite the mounting unrest, both President Reagan and British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher have resisted using economic sanctions to help end the system of apartheid. Thatcher is sending her foreign secretary to that country next week. More now in this report from Peter Sharp.
Bishop Tutu met with other church leaders in Johannesburg to determine the clergy's response to the state of emergency. And later he was unequivocal in his condemnation of Sir Geoffrey's visit to South Africa next week. He said he wouldn't waste his time meeting the foreign secretary.
It's not helping our cause at all. I think Sir Geoffrey ought to go back home and try and persuade the Iron Lady that her best interests and those of Britain are served by trying to destroy apartheid. She mustn't bend over so backwards. She's going to fall.
And the need for a ceasefire in South Africa was all too apparent outside this Pretoria supermarket last night. The latest city centre bombing left 20 people of all races injured.